Welcome to the very first episode of On Our Streets, a series presented by the Somerville Community Partnership. Here's a preview of our first show.
Well, the reason you get involved with it is that you're living across the street from it, and you sort of say, I can't have all my neighbors down here doing nothing. I mean, doing something and I'm doing nothing. So you little by little, you come over here and say, what are you doing? Before you know it, you got a shovel in your hand, a pick in your hand, nails and whatever, and you just keep going.
The fence, how can the fence be artistic? How can the cover for the water supply be something that can be both a learning experience and something that's a little out of the ordinary and special, because this is a pretty special place. And I think just the fact that so many people and organizations have gotten behind it really speaks to that. There's something magic going on here.
Each episode of On Our Streets is to look at different community and neighborhood groups in the city of Somerville and the good work that they're doing. I'm standing in front of the Somerville Community Growing Center, which is on the corner of Vinyl Avenue and Summer Street. It is attached to a large playing field, which is also part of this project. This has been an empty lot for quite a while, and something really beautiful is happening here now. We're going to take a look at some of the people who are involved in this project and also let you know afterwards how you can get involved in it if you'd like to.
My name is Lisa Brucolacchio, and I am sort of taking over some of the coordination responsibilities for the Community Growing Center as part of my role as Community Environmental Liaison for the City of Somerville, and as a member of the Somerville Pride Working Committee for several years.
Could you talk a little bit about the history of the garden and how it's gotten to the point where people are actually working here now? I know it was a big empty lot for a long time.
Well, about a year ago, the plans were finalized to actually take the empty rubble lot from the South Junior High site, which had been originally slated to be affordable housing, but due to the economic times, funding for that had proved virtually impossible to secure. And the city had this open space, it being a rare commodity in our environment, decided to take the bottom section and make it a playing field. It was fairly level, with a relatively minimal financial input, could be put to use for basically playing fields. We call it a passive park. There's not much there except open space. And as you can see right now, it's this wonderful space that's used by a lot of the community. However, it left this quarter-acre sort of L bump here that has an 18-foot grade in two directions and very sort of open to the elements, and no real plans for it, so sort of informally in a meeting, had gotten approval from the mayor to do something with community gardens on this site. We have about 6 community gardens in the city, and something that I've been coordinating, and there's one actually right over on Walnut Street. So this area of the city was pretty well supplied in terms of need. However, it was obvious from working with several of our youth organizations in particular that there was a need for open space and sort of a learning area for outdoor information, for environmental learning from a number of youth organizations who were eligible for various grants, and a lot of them said, you need to do environmental work. And they were trying to do work in the parks, but it was difficult without some of the support of, plant materials or without the skills. And so a number of different organizations, different city departments, and different nonprofits in the city sat down and said, okay, we have a space. How could we make it serve the largest, section of our population? And this is where we're at now, after basically a year of planning. We were able to secure the slope so that it wouldn't wash away over the winter and the spring on us, and had a couple of wonderful volunteer days similar to this, with just the neighborhood just showing up and really sort of taking ownership in this. They had this new backyard, front yard, whichever windows they looked out of, and sort of taking this piece of paper and turning it into something that had dimension and depth and meaning in people's lives.
Well, the reason you get involved with it is that you're living across the street from it, and you sort of say, I can't have all my neighbors down here doing nothing. I mean, doing something and I'm doing nothing. So you little by little, you come over here and say, what are you doing? Before you know it, you got a shovel in your hand, a pick in your hand, nails and whatever, and you just keep going. And every time they have a meeting, you show up to the meeting, find out what the hell's going on, what's new, and then just go from there. The next plan is Now I like it. Now I like it. I tell you, wasn't sure what was going to happen over here, because I lived here for 35 years, and not knowing what was going to happen. Now I'm glad this is happening. It's going to be a little refreshing, and it keeps the neighborhood nice and clean, and whatever, happy.
It's called the Community Growing Center for two reasons. One, and foremost, is to grow community. It's been really incredible to see this neighborhood. People who live on the various streets sort of come together at this point. Even just this morning, we've had, 4 people meet and talk about their gardens, and they're visiting each other's backyards and exchanging, names and numbers that they didn't have that contact before. So that's a very important piece here. It's also important for the strength and security of the site. Whenever you do any sort of urban project like this, you have to take into account the possibility of security and vandalism issues. And so I'm incredibly, just pleased that a neighborhood association has really started in this area, partly just to be responsible for sort of watching over this area.
It's been just fascinating to see it. It's been a wonderful experience to see the neighbors so involved in this project. They're so enthusiastic and they're so happy to be out here and growing things. Most of the neighbors don't have any gardens. They don't have any lawn or any green space at all. A lot of them do. They have a little plot that they're growing on. In the beginning, the neighborhood was completely against any type of a park or a playground or any type of a field because they were concerned with vandalism and late night activities. It's been wonderful to see that we've had none of that. The playing field, the practice soccer and football field is open until 10 o'clock at night. I can honestly say I haven't seen anybody here after 10. The neighborhood, it pretty well monitors the activities of the playing field as well as the ornamental garden up here in the Community Growing Center. That's what this has become. It's become quite a community project. As it was explained, there's so many organizations and so many people from the community itself, not just the neighborhood, all working together. And that to me is the exciting part of the whole project, is that it's just everyone working together, people that I never thought I would ever see working together, working on this project. And it's people I have never seen before in my entire life who are down here working on this, and the neighborhood is so grateful to have this type of opportunity come their way.
What has it meant to have, I guess, the neighborhood association started too, since the garden has been happening? What's that meant for you since you've lived here for so long?
Well, it makes it that the community is getting together again. And that's what you want. You want the communities to be working together. And, you don't want this neighbor going that way and that neighbor going that way, and you're in the middle saying, well, which way should I turn? But we're all getting close-knit, and it's happening much, much better and enjoyable.
Next week, the local elementary school is starting to plant a bed. The Walnut Street Center down in Union Square with special needs. Several of the Boys and Girls Club youth program, Eagle Eye Institute, are all sort of gearing up to come plant their little educational garden beds that we're getting compost into as we speak, and getting ready to sort of put the educational growing learning piece to work. So this is a pretty special place, and I think just the fact that so many people and organizations have gotten behind it really speaks to that. There's something magic going on here.
Our next segment also involves the Community Growing Center as we take a look at a recent Tibetan tree planting that took place there.
And this event was really inspired by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, because he asked people to plant trees on his birthday as a way of protecting the environment and maintaining our connection as Buddhists with the natural world, and he also was encouraging Tibetans to get involved. So the poem that we read was written by him, and it's about the earth and our relationship to it as spiritual people. So that's how this really came about. We just decided to take him up on his request.
We have been setting this Tibetan association 2 years ago, and this is actually the first time we gathered and celebrate Tibetan His Holiness Dalai Lama's birthday in open space, and really enjoyed the Tibetan culture like incense burning, and we have never done it in Boston area. I don't know about in other areas, but this is a real starting of the traditional Tibetan way of celebrating, and we are very, very proud of that.
Well, basically, apartments were found here. 2 group houses were found originally for Tibetans to live together. It was a cheap way for them to be here. And then more Tibetans settled nearby, because the idea of this resettlement project was to keep what's called a cluster site, and to keep the culture alive in a group of people. It's easier if people live together and celebrate holidays together, see each other, cook together, sing together, dance together, like that.
And somehow, I don't know, Somerville is now, Tibetan official resident here. Most of the Tibetans live here. So
Yeah.
Somerville is now our kind of town. Yeah. And maybe through like Somerville Growing Center and other places, now we are introduced to such beautiful places. We hope that maybe in the future, especially His Holiness Dalai Lama's birthday, and it's in summertime, so we can, and maybe in March 10th is Tibetan Uprising Day, and maybe that around that time it's springtime. We don't know, but I hope maybe other people will be interested, and we would like to involve more.
Welcome the birds.
So it's a feeling of connectedness with your family and with your culture, and at the same time knowing other cultures, other people involved. Yeah.
The Somerville Community Partnership consiste à aider les gens à avoir une meilleure mode de vie par la prévention du tabac, de l'alcool et d'autres drogues.
Đây là cộng đồng của Somerville, and chúng tôi đang tìm cách giúp để mọi người có một cuộc sống lành mạnh bằng cách chống lại hút thuốc, uống rượu and other drug abuse.
Somerville Community Partnership está aqui para promover estilo de vida saudável, promovendo a prevenção do uso e abuso do tabaco, álcool e outras drogas.
The Somerville Community Partnership promotes healthy lifestyles by preventing tobacco, alcohol, and other drug abuse. We support all the efforts by agencies, organizations, and individuals who work to accomplish these goals in Somerville.
Thanks for tuning in to the first episode of On Our Streets. We hope you enjoyed it. As I said before, you can be a part of the show yourself. If you're a member of a neighborhood or a community organization that's doing something great in Somerville, give me a call. My name is Tom Miller. I work here at SCAT. It's 628-8826. It's the phone number. Give me a call. You might get the chance to be involved in the series. And additionally, if you do become part of the series, we'd also like to get you involved in some video production work as well. working to help produce the show and maybe coming here and taking some workshops at SCAT, which is where I am right now, standing next to the camera. So please give me a call if you're interested in being on the show. And until next time, we'll see you on our streets.